Hey everybody, welcome back to another segment of Attorney Advice. We got Don Krupens here, and this is actually the third video that we're doing together, and Don's been a great resource. He is an attorney who represents landlords and business owners out in the California area. That's correct, right, Don?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And Don's got a lot of helpful insights, and today what we're going to be talking about is background and credit checks on prospective tenants. So kind of a little bit of both of our worlds here, but Don's going to give us some insights on what you should know if you're running background checks and things that you should be aware of, and just how to make sure that you're doing everything by the book. So Don, I'm just going to kind of put the ball in your court and have you start off here and let us know what you think that people should be aware of.
So I think there's kind of two schools of thought when it comes to background checks, and I've seen folks find themselves in specifically landlords in challenging situations, no matter which direction they take. The one approach that I've seen taken, I've actually personally taken it, so I shame on me for this, is not following through in doing a thorough background check. Mm-hmm. Relying on gut instinct, word of mouth, a referral, look, they're going to be a good tenant, or, you speak to a previous landlord and everything was completely above board for a long-term tenancy. Mm-hmm. And then you get a lot of folks and individual situations change. A tenant may be a wonderful fit for one landlord, but may be not a very good fit for another landlord. Mm-hmm. And I think one way to ensure that is to make sure that you're doing a thorough and diligent background check. On the other hand,
I would like to just state that I didn't ask Don to say any of this. This is his own. We said, hey, Don, let's talk about, background checks and say how important they are.
No, I think certainly in the law, so much of an individual's responsibility, at least in the eyes of the law, is based on not following a process. Mm-hmm. You get a good process in place. If it works, stick with it. Again, we've had some conversations about discrimination. Mm-hmm. Certainly can come up in the background check situation. So the other side of the coin is you are the sleuth that uncovers every stone about a prospective tenant, and you're on their social media page. Sure. And you connect with them on LinkedIn, and in addition to the normal credit check and things that you're doing. I would also dissuade an individual from doing that too. And the reason I would do that is because not for every tenant, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. Right? So not everybody. Maybe everybody does these days. Maybe I'm out of touch, but probably not everybody has a Facebook page. There's probably folks probably a number of folks that we deal with in this community aren't on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And then if you get into a situation where you are overzealous in one situation, but a little more tempered in another situation, and then there's some decisions about whether you decide to rent or not, you could find yourself in a difficult situation, or at the very least having to explain why in one case you decided to go to Facebook and in another case you chose not to. Okay. So my recommendation would be kind of do your run-of-the-mill, do your credit check, do your background check. There's lots of great organizations out there that will do it for you. Be consistent with it. Maintain your documentation, and probably the most important part is if you were going to make a negative a negative determination about someone being a tenant based on their credit report or your credit findings, you have an obligation under federal law to send them notice of why you made that determination. I know I've certainly been in this position. I've either applied for a loan or applied for a credit card, and for whatever reason, I wasn't a good fit for the lender. Mm-hmm. And 10 days later, you get a notice in the mail that says, we've decided not to extend you credit because of these factors. Please go ahead. We encourage you to get a copy of your credit report and make sure everything's accurate. Mm-hmm. Even as an individual, you still have those same obligations if you make an adverse decision based on somebody's credit history.
Yeah, and those forms actually for RentPrep customers, and we also have a generic form for people in this group who don't use RentPrep. What I'll do is if we're posting this on YouTube or on our Facebook page, I'll include links to those so people can use those. Unfortunately, I do get the feeling that it's not something that everybody does, just because it's that extra step and you're probably thinking about filling your rental. But again, it's just that thing that you can do that you're really just making sure you're above board. And if you read the FCRA, that is one of the bullet points of it, that you need to, supply that adverse action and let people know that they've been denied the proper way. And the one thing that I can say to landlords who maybe aren't doing this and are like, it sounds like another step, is if you are doing that, what it does is it sends and lets that tenant know, or that applicant know that's been denied, these are the people you need to talk to if you have an issue with the background report. So it kind of takes them maybe from complaining to you about it to going to the screening service too. So that's another thing that you might want to consider too.
Yeah, and I think that's a fantastic point, Eric, because what it does is it relieves you of the decision that was made. If you have a process in place and if you've established that 700 is the credit score, they can go fight it out with, Experian.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good luck.
Or wherever the whatever reporting agency you're using. So no, I think that's a fantastic point.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of landlords actually do this too, where they represent themselves as the property manager when they're dealing with a tenant, and that's because when a tenant says, "Hey, can I paint this wall?" they'll say, "Let me ask the landlord," and they kind of makes that little bit of a buffer between them and the tenant. I think it's kind of doing the same thing, is that the screening service that you do use can be that buffer between you and the tenant applicant that gets denied. So if you do it the right way, it actually works out in your favor, and you might end up not getting those angry texts from somebody or asking a lot of questions that just let you send it off in another direction. So
Right.
All right.
Anything to create a barrier between the landlord and tenant.
Especially a denied applicant for sure.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have anything else you'd want to provide as far as running background checks, or?
I would say just be consistent, stick with the process, and make sure you adhere to your federal reporting requirements if it's appropriate.
All right, perfect. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Don, he is in the RentPrep for Landlords Facebook group. You can check him out there. And you can always tag me in a question too. And if you are in California, Don does help small business owners and landlords with all sorts of different situations. And I know you even mentioned that your firm actually offers some sort of monthly retainer. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we have a special program called Lawvex Team. The law firm that I work for is Lawvex, and it's a monthly subscription service. It's $49.95. It offers members specialized content in a private Facebook page, provides access to any number of attorneys for short and relatively easy legal questions. If you are a business, an incorporated business, we help take care of your security filings, your annual security filings with the Secretary of State.
All right, very cool. That's great. I think that's fun too, that you can have like those 4 15-minute conversations a month, because you can get those little questions that come up here and there and just get a quick answer for a decent price.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Thanks again, Don, and look forward to talking with you in our next segment.
All right, thank you.